Hi, Mr. Brown. Well, as you know, my name is Sean Andrews, your host for Insights in Education. Today I will be speaking with, as you just heard me say, Ed Brown, Managing Director for the American Academy of Advanced Thinking, on why students should not graduate without a LinkedIn leadership profile. Ed holds a master's degree in leadership development from Mercer University and has written over 30 books, including The IBAR Way of Critical Thinking and Thought Leadership. He specializes in helping educators and students become thought leaders on LinkedIn to maximize their earning opportunities. For all the listeners today, please be advised that this teleseminar is being recorded and you'll be able to listen to it at your own convenience at a later date. So let's welcome Ed Brown.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. I appreciate you having me.
You're very welcome. Now, before we get into the meat of this discussion, how did you get into thought leadership, and why did you choose LinkedIn as your primary social media platform?
Well, for the last probably several decades now, this idea of leadership has been bandied about a great deal. And as the pundit suggests, that although there are tomes and information on better leadership skills, we don't have better leaders. So when I came across, as I evolved in my studies, if you will, on the leadership, thought leadership, it felt to me that was where the vanguard in the information age, as well as where people were going. How do we think? How to become go-to people? How to become managers in our space? That became more fascinating to me in the field of ideas than any other leadership model. Now, how I found the platform LinkedIn was I was doing a lot of work in producing articles, books, podcasts, videos on LinkedIn, and it dawned on me that that's where all the decision makers and people who other people are trying to attract frequent. And so I said to myself, what would happen if you put thought leadership combined with LinkedIn and made the individual the go-to person inside their vocation, professional industry? How would that look like? And so I became very excited about thought leadership as a construct and LinkedIn as a platform for individuals looking to be giants inside their fields.
Now, why would you say that LinkedIn is the go-to forum for establishing trust and credibility among decision makers and recruitment managers?
Now, at last count, it's 500 million users on LinkedIn, and those are growing like 2 million every few minutes, something like that. I read something recently about that. So you look at users of LinkedIn, it's growing exponentially, and obviously it's the largest and only real professional social media forum. So if you're looking to become someone in that space, whether it's in education, HR, or whatever vocation you might be in, why wouldn't you be on LinkedIn? Because that's where everyone is. Facebook is fine, Snapchat, all those other ones that people use. But when we talk about professional jobs and professional image and persona, LinkedIn is the way to go. So establishing credibility and becoming the go-to person requires a certain massaging. That's why intellectual property on your social, your LinkedIn profile becomes most important. So that's why I feel it's the best way of establishing credibility and the go-to person inside your vocation.
Now, are there some simple steps for creating an ideal LinkedIn profile title?
Well, if you go to any LinkedIn profile on a regular basis, you'll find that most LinkedIn users put their name, their title on their profile as their lead-in. And I want to stress the point that LinkedIn is a social media platform, which means media is the underscored word. This is your ABC, NBC, CBS. This is your Wall Street Journal or Atlanta Journal-Constitution newspaper. This is your radio station. And so when you are broadcasting on your social media station, it behooves you as an expert in your niche to amplify the things that you do and the things that you do to solve problems. So if you're looking at your LinkedIn title, it has to suggest what you do to solve problems. So there are three components to an ideal LinkedIn title. One, what do you do, who do you do it to, and what are results? Are you helping, serving? That's what you do. To whom? Educators, HR consultants, HR professionals, and what? Produce productive citizens, help profitability, enhance image. So 1, 2, 3. What you do, who do you do it to, and what are the results for what you do.
Now, Ed, what would you say is the best way to create a compelling and attractive summary?
Well, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because I think we can do a better job with this in terms of across the board. Many times people use LinkedIn as their CV or resume. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. But if you think about in a competitive environment, in a global economy, if everyone is cutting and pasting their CVC or resume to LinkedIn, what makes you different? How do you actually solve a problem? How do you convey that value to that decision maker or that corporate recruiter to that person? How do you show that? And I think that when you have a summary, your summary should do what the acronym AIDA suggests. It should be grab your attention, have interest, make the person decide on your benefits, and have a call to action. For example, your attraction would be what exactly do you solve? What problem do you solve that's germane to that particular vocation or profession/industry? Then interest. Why is that problem important? How long has it been around, and how does it emotionally resonate with the people most affected by it in that industry? And then, obviously, you're the solution to it. But your solution has to be about the benefits you convey in your process for solving problems, and usually in a bullet point, and then a call to action saying that if you want more information, contact me at, here's my name, my phone number, email address, website. So AIDA is attention, interest, decision, action. And I think any summary should be set up from that perspective and therefore show in no uncertain terms that you are a critical thinker, decision maker, and problem solver.
Now, Ed, do you have a process where one can create in-class projects that produce scholarly articles, books, podcasts, and videos?
Well, I use the IVAR critical thinking method that I gathered from my leadership curriculum at Mercer University as well as my law school background. But I would say that for teachers and educators, specifically in classrooms, that there should not be a time where a student leaves your class, whether it's semester or the whole year, without a compelling, robust LinkedIn profile. You have the student at least for 3 or 4 months in the semester and more than that for a year. So any information that student is providing, therefore, by their reports, because now you're vetting the reports. You're saying that, you change this, then we're going to put that on your LinkedIn. Because let's say that, for example, the child wants to get into, online designing websites, right? Because there's some data you came across that 50% of business owners don't have websites. So that student could write a report on the dangers of not having a website from a commerce perspective. And so once the student writes the report and the teacher evaluates it, grades it, and says, okay, you change this up, and then we're going to put it on your your LinkedIn page profile. And then from that vantage point, those pieces of information gathered over a period of time from different angles creates a body work for the student. So that when a student goes to college, whether it's to get into the best college saying this is what I provide in terms of solving problems inside this niche before I even got into the industry, or you graduate from college to go to a quote-unquote computer company or graphic design company, you've already done some things that no one has done already in terms of creating body work, and you just add to that once you get into the professional environment. So it's a competitive edge by which you, the individual, can start more now than ever, become a giant in your field even before you get into your field. And I think that can be start inside the classroom by making sure the teacher or the professor mandates as a grade requirement that you have a compelling body of work on your LinkedIn that lends itself to you being competitive in your field.
What would you say are some of the key components for creating a public schedule to stay active and relevant on LinkedIn? Do you have any recommendations?
Well, that's key, relevant and active. A lot of times people, and I've said this before, there are 2 types of people, generally speaking, who are on LinkedIn. One, business people who are looking for customers and clients, and people looking for jobs. And so to be active and relevant is to create information, whether you create your own original information or you create other people's information based on studies, research, or articles that other people write. If you do that twice a day, and the best times based on the data is between 8 and 11 or 12 p.m., morning to afternoon, after lunch from 1 to 4. So if you do it twice a day with a particular niche, like I said, if I'm talking, go back to the student who is a graphic designer, if I'm talking about the latest designs or the latest breakthroughs or the challenges of not having a website that is interactive or whatever the questions that come out based on the data that the student has done, then when he or she is actually posting this information actively twice a day, 5 days a week, because you take the weekends off because people are not in business mode Saturday and Sunday, Monday through Friday you do this twice a day, it's almost by the numbers. You're galvanizing a body of work, but also you're making yourself known as the go-to person. So instead of saying, buy me, buy me, buy me, I'm a great guy, I'm a great girl, trust me on my stuff, you actually are documenting, showing the value by which you can do these things, and therefore people can read this. And again, like any online forum or platform, you actually are constantly marketing on that because LinkedIn is not going anywhere. Your profile is there, and people are seeing it globally on a regular basis. So this is the best time to be someone solving problems, being a critical thinker or a decision maker in ways that no time in the annals of history of humanity this has been the case. So that's what I'm suggesting, that you post twice a day, 5 days a week.
What would you say are the predictions and trends for students entering the workforce and how to best position themselves for career success?
Kind of like I said earlier, if you had an internship and it allowed you to have a practical experience, and therefore that's a leg up, but a lot of times internships are coming more and more hard to come by because there's not enough internships for the people needing the practical experience. So you have to create your own ecosystem. You have to create your own way of showing the value and documenting that you have the skill sets to do what's necessary inside your vocation. So if left to its own devices, if people external to yourself can't give you what you want, then you have to create your own device of power. So LinkedIn is the way to do that because, again, the go-to people are on LinkedIn, decision makers, HR recruiters, and if you have a robust body of work, they can actually find you because you're reaching out to them either directly through their email component, or you're actually in these groups where these experts are, and you're showing value based on what you're sharing and providing to them. So it's essential that the contemporary student think from a global perspective and think from a strategic perspective so that he or she is already a giant before they actually enter the vocation. And let's think about it from this vantage point. If you're already known for what you have created and developed in your thinking process, how does that help your negotiating skills when it comes to even salary? Someone who doesn't have any body of work has to come in almost like an entry-level person. But if you have a body of work, you can come in as a partner. You're talking, your conversation is different. The way you hold yourself and carry yourself is different. That getting a thought leader walking in the door, which has to be at least $25,000, $30,000 more than someone who's entry-level. So it's a way of thinking and processing information by which you build the body of work that makes you credible and the go-to person without having to have a job or what have you as you enter an industry. You actually have created your own job that allows you to shine in ways that people who don't do it have not.
And what would you say is the biggest obstacle standing between you and student success and how to overcome it?
Well, when I think about you, it's going to probably be educators. The biggest step or challenge between educator and student is the fact that students still, in great numbers, don't know LinkedIn exists or even know why it's valuable or how to maneuver around it. That's a bad thing or a negative thing because if you're looking for an opportunity, Facebook won't do it, Snapchat may not do it, Instagram won't do it. The largest professional forum in the world, 500 million and growing, is the place you need to be. So if you're talking about your lifestyle, your vocation, your ability to make money, to have the life and desire that you want in life, you need to be on LinkedIn. So that being said, one, we need to promote LinkedIn better to students. On the other side, teachers have to see LinkedIn as a conduit for doing their job better. It's like kind of like when we were growing up when you had to do math, long division, in math, and the teacher said, you got the right answer, but you didn't show how you got there. I think that when you can show and prove how you got intellectually astute with critical thinking and decision-making and problem-solving based on the work you created on your LinkedIn, that's a different conversation than people on their resume or CV saying, I've done these things, I am a great team builder, I'm a great at staying late and coming in early. Those things are nice, but when you start talking about a body of work and intellectual property, that's a whole different conversation. So I'm imploring that students and educators start understanding the value of LinkedIn by actually participating on a greater and more robust level.
For the listeners, is there anyone that has any questions for Ed?
One of the questions I've often been asked in prior podcasts and teleseminars is, okay, so what am I missing? This educators usually say this. What am I missing? I understand I do have a LinkedIn profile. No, I don't go there often. Yes, it's kind of sort of like a resume or CV. What am I missing that people are saying is such a valuable resource? Well, educators can use it as a peer review opportunity platform. For example, if you write an article based on something that you presume to be a breakthrough in your teaching style or philosophy, what better way than to write it on LinkedIn and connect with educational groups and therefore show yourself to be the go-to person based on this method or this system, right? So it's not only just an idea of looking for a job or looking for customers and clients. It's a forum by which you can shine and highlight and build legacy for the information that you've actually encumbered or embraced or improved upon based on your systems of education over the years. For example, if I was a teacher with over 10 years of experience, and if I was to be deceased right now, how would people know I existed? How would people know that I had actually broke certain obstacles when it comes to the teaching process or the method of teaching? Or how would that person 100,000 years from now, educator, know that they can actually not reinvent the wheel, but actually build on something you've already created some years prior, decades or centuries prior? To me, it's the greatest opportunity for educators to not only market themselves as go-to people, create educational products, but also leave a legacy behind 1,000 years from now. The educators in the future can look to say that you were the catalyst for who they are, what they do at that time in the future.
So, Ed, if listeners want more information on becoming a thought leader on LinkedIn, what's the best way to contact you?
Well, currently I'm actually offering a free assessment of LinkedIn profiles so that someone wants to know what they can do to improve their LinkedIn profile to be a Mandarin, a go-to person, a legacy builder on LinkedIn, that they can contact me directly. My number is 678-698-3386. Again, that number is 678-698-3386. Or, of course, you can get me on Edward S. Brown III on LinkedIn, where hopefully you've seen this particular teleseminar offered. Or you can go to the iBar Critical Thinking Method website. Just put in the search engine iBar Critical Thinking Method, and it goes to the website, and you can contact me either of those three ways. And I'd be glad to look at your LinkedIn profile to see exactly how we can make it more robust so that you can become the Mandarin and go-to person inside your vocation.
Well, thank you, Ed, for your participation.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. We then, again, appreciate your time. And this is Shawn Andrews signing off on another episode of Insights in Education.